I'm Tiffany from the Ayurvedic Chef.
And I'm Gina from the Ayurvedic Kitchen.
And we're two Ayurvedic chefs that want to show you how to make kitchari today. It's just an often asked about dish, and it also has many benefits. So we're here to just tell you about all the ingredients in them, show you how it's made, and why we love to eat kitchari. The main ingredients actually are split yellow mung beans and basmati rice. So both of these have been rinsed thoroughly. There's a half cup of each, thank you. Mung beans should be soaked overnight just to improve the digestibility of it. The rice can be, doesn't have to be, because I find that it breaks apart easily in the kitchari. Mm-hmm. We have a half a teaspoon of all of these spices. So it's black mustard seeds, coriander seeds, fennel seeds, and cumin seeds. And also a half a teaspoon of turmeric powder, cumin powder, coriander powder, and fennel powder. So you'll notice that we repeated some of these spices, and it's just because, like, what were you saying earlier?
There's, I find there's a difference of, like, taste with ground spices versus whole spices. Yeah. Ground spices are kind of going to get into your grains a little bit more, and the whole spices are kind of going to round out your whole dish well.
Yeah, because they're whole.
Yeah.
And, like, we encourage you to just, like, play with the spice amounts. Mm-hmm. You can't go wrong. You're not going to, like, cause ill health on your body. We just recommend having an awareness of what your doshas are, and, like, if you're running hot, then just don't use so much cumin. Use more fennel. We also have a half a teaspoon of freshly zested ginger and about a cup of cut up leeks here. Normally people use onions and garlic, but we're trying to stick with a more sattvic recipe here, just to help calm the mind while also stimulating the digestive system without overstimulating it. We're also going to throw in a bunch of fresh, our snail fell.
Oh! We have a snail friend today making kitchari with us.
Yeah, it's on the bowl. Spinach. Baby spinach with our baby snail. We're not going to cook him. Oh my god, it's crawling.
Oh,
that's so cute. Okay. And then just some lemon for garnish and chopped up parsley from El Jardín.
And our last thing here is some homemade veggie broth that Tiffany made.
Yeah.
So the first thing about kitchari is that it's one of the most easily digestible meals that you could make for yourself. It's really good if you want to just kind of have a reset in your digestion, if you're needing a little break from maybe a lot of processed foods or eating out a lot. With that, it's very simple to make too. So you can do all of this in one pot. You don't need to have a whole lot of things on hand. If you have a pantry of spices and some rice and dal, you're good to go. The other thing about kitchari is that it's a complete protein. So because you have your rice and mung beans in there, you're getting the carbohydrates as well as the protein and all the amino acids that your body needs. The last thing that I really like about kitchari is that it can be adapted to whatever situation you're in, whatever season you're in, whatever health conditions you have going on, and this is mainly due to, like, the choices of spices that you'd put into it or the vegetables that you'd put into it, and like Tiffany said earlier, whether you'd use onions or leeks or leave that part out. So do you have anything else you want to share?
Yeah, we forgot about the ghee.
Oh, yeah. So how are we going to cook all of our spices? What are we going to do it in? There's some options. Ghee is my favorite option. I love our little snail.
It's going in the bowl.
You can use olive oil, you could use coconut oil, you could use grapeseed oil, safflower oil. There's a bunch of options that you have.
Yes, but we're using ghee today because it is tridoshic, meaning it's good for all doshas. It's just such a great digestive stimulator without causing overstimulation. It's just balancing, super healthy for anybody, whoever you are.
If you are vegan and you're concerned about using ghee, totally okay. That's definitely a preference. Personally, because the milk solids are boiled out of the ghee, I do have vegan friends who like to use it.
They're geegans.
They're geegans. Oh, I like that term.
Yeah.
Nice.
You can use it.
So yeah, that is our list of ingredients, and next we're gonna go over to the stove and show you how to put it all together.
Yeah, and we're gonna free Sammy the snail here.
Turning on our stove to about medium to high heat, and we're gonna add about 1 to 2 tablespoons of ghee. This is some fresh ghee made today. We'll see a video on that later of how to make ghee. So I'm just gonna let the ghee get warm in the pot here. The nice thing about ghee is it has a really high heating temperature, so it won't burn, it won't go rancid if you're baking or cooking it on too high of a heat. So next what I'm gonna add is our seeds. What I like to do is throw them in and then give them a little stir so that they get coated in the ghee. Now, what we're looking for here is the seeds to start popping. With the temperature, they'll just start to get heated and start to pop. So, great tip from Tiffany. Feel free to put a lid over your pot, because once those seeds start popping, they're gonna pop out of the pan and we don't want you getting burned, okay? Now give it a little stir around. You can start to hear them pop a little bit. Though I like to add my leeks in once I start to hear kind of consistent pop going on. And I'm hearing it there.
Beautiful.
We just don't want our spices to burn. I think the first times I was making kitchari, I burned my spices almost every time. And I'd get so upset because I thought I was wasting spices, but honestly, you guys, just start over. It's not worth having burned spices and kind of a not so great tasting kitchari. I'm just gonna turn the heat down a little bit.
And just like to what Gina was just saying, like, it's really important to just set the right intention for your kitchari. And like, if you have healing intention for people, you're not gonna be making kitchari out of burnt spices for people. Like, you'll just start over, give the burnt spices back to Mother Earth.
Yes. Well, the next thing we're looking for here is the leeks to start becoming translucent. Getting a really good smell going on from the spices and the leeks.
It smells so good.
Mm-hmm. All right, so the leeks are starting to get more translucent and just a little bit floppier in the pot. So next I'm gonna add our ginger. Give that a stir. And with ginger, I like to let it cook for about like 10 seconds before I add the ground spices in. Now I'll add the ground spices. If you're finding that it's starting to look dry or ginger or spices are starting to stick to the bottom of the pot, just add a little bit more ghee. So we've added our powdered spices, and now we're gonna add our rinsed dal and rice. You don't wanna let the powdered spices be in direct contact with the heat too long, because they could burn that way. So once you add the mung beans and the rice, you give it all a stir, let everything get coated.
And why is that important?
We really want to let the flavor spread all around. And now we're going to add our broth. You always want to make sure your grains and beans are covered by about an inch or two of broth or water, depending on what you're using. So if you're wondering about amounts, we'll have exact amounts posted, but just in general knowledge, you want to put about 2 inches more of water or broth in there. So next what we're going to do is bring this to a boil. So I'm going to turn the heat back up to high and cover it.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we forgot our pepper, so we're just going to grind some up real quick. You can take about a pinch of black peppercorn. Got a little mortar pestle here. And just grind her up.
You're so ripped.
That's what getting into cooking gives you, is ripped biceps.
Yep.
All
Nothing
right.
else though, everything is just like soft.
Okay,
So now that our concoction is at a full boil, we're gonna turn it down to like a medium-low heat and to let it simmer basically until all of our mung beans have fallen apart. Okay, so we've been simmering this for about 20 minutes and the mung beans are about 50% broken up. It's getting kind of dry in here, so we're gonna have to add a little bit more broth or water because we're out of broth. But we added 4 cups of broth before, and we're gonna add like, I don't know, like another 2 cups of water. See where that goes. We're on.
Okay, so our kitchari has broken down, and now we're gonna add our greens. Greens don't take long to cook, so always add them in at the end. Just lightly fold them in. We're using spinach here, as we said earlier. You can use kale, dandelion greens, whatever most calls to you. So you can turn the heat off now. Great. And then the last thing we're gonna do is add in our salt and pepper. So we got about 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Kapha can handle pepper the best. If you're pitta, you might want less pepper or no pepper. And then we'll add about 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And mix that all together. And there you have it.
Okay, close up. Okay. All right, so we have our kitchari beautifully bowled. Now we just have to sprinkle on our garnishes.
We're garnishing with some parsley today, but you could choose cilantro, dill, maybe a little fennel.
Yum, yeah. And I'm using a lemon slice because I'm a little more vata and lemons are a little bit warming. And I also just like the extra zing that it adds.
And I'm using lime because limes are cooling and I'm more pitta, so I'm looking for a little bit more cooling aspect to my kitchari.
Yeah. Okay, obligatory yum shot.
Mm.
This is hot. Mmm.
So good.
No, it really is good. We're not just saying that.
That was
Cool.
good.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, for watching this. We hope that it was informative and it inspires you to make your own bowl of kitchari tonight.
Yeah.